Beyond the Clef is presented by Director's Choice.
Welcome to Beyond the Clef. I am here with a drop-in guest, and we're really fortunate at TMEA 2018. I am joined by Anthony Maiello, and you are one of the featured clinicians here at TMEA this year.
That is correct, sir. Yep.
Thank you so much for being here.
It is my pleasure to be here and my honor to just share any kind of information I can to help others.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Texas. It's humid in San Antonio a little bit.
It's all right. Better than the cold north.
Yeah, absolutely. And where do you live now?
In Oakton, Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, and the weather's been sort of cold and whatnot, but this is nice. It's
Sure. Yeah. Well, so you are the professor of music at George Mason University.
Correct.
And you're also the conductor of the American Festival Pops Orchestra in D.C. and a clinician for Yamaha as well.
That is correct. Yep.
Well, tell me a little bit about your. I don't know much about the American Festival Pops Orchestra. Tell me a little bit about that project.
It's a professional orchestra.
Okay.
We play 4 concerts a year, and it's composed of all of the finer, and I mean the finer players from the military bands, and also some freelance string players. They play at the Kennedy Opera House and whatnot. And it's basically a dress rehearsal concert. That's it. I mean, it's not a whole lot of practicing. So they come in, they read it down, we rehearse, we do a dress rehearsal the next day, concert that night. And so it's just a joy because the players are magnificent.
I'm sure that's really rewarding.
Plus, I love to play American music, pop music, Broadway music, rock music. I mean, we just had a concert last week, and it was just sort of a Valentine concert. Just lots of fun.
Great.
So it was great.
Well, this morning at a clinic, you were talking about a story with your experience with Jim Walker. Tell us a little bit about who Jim Walker is.
Jim, this happened probably, I'm going to say at least 30 years ago, okay? I had just finished writing my first conducting book, and we worked a concert together in Canada. And we're riding back to the airport, and there was a blizzard, and we were both white-knuckling it back to the airport, hoping we could make it alive in a little car, So, and the young fellow was driving the car, and we were talking, and so Jim Walker said to me, you just wrote a conducting book, right? And I said, yeah, I did. He said, well, what do you look for in a conductor? And I said, oh, gosh, I look for a lot of things. I look for precision. I look for musicality. I look for cueing. I look for dynamics. I look for left-hand independence. I went on and on and on and on. Basically, it was down the list of the table of contents in my book, figuring these are what I look for. These are the things. And so I went, we talked a bit, and so I flipped the question to him, and I said, well, here you are, you're first call in L.A. Whenever I hear a flute on a film soundtrack, it's you. So what do you look for? And he said, I just look for one thing. And I had to take a breath and stop and say, what? He said, no, I just look for one thing. I was afraid to ask what the one thing was because I listed about 20, 25 things, I said, really? He said, yeah. And I said, what? He looked me in the eye and he said, inspiration. And I had never, I think
that was a setup.
Well, I think so. But the actual juxtaposition of the thing that really floored me was that here's an artist who is number one. I mean, there are gazillions of flute players in the country, right? But here's a guy who plays so beautifully, and yet he wants to be inspired. And the first thing that came to my mind was that if he wants to be inspired with all of his background, his professional credits and everything, what about our young people? And the need for them to be inspired. Because so often, as band directors, sometimes we drill, we repeat, and we get into these modes where we just sort of become robotic instead of letting the music pour out, And I just thought to myself, Maiello, don't ever conduct anything but your very best in terms of inspiration ever again, no matter what level. So that was a great conducting lesson for me.
Wow.
And that leads me to another story that I do. Being a college professor, conductor, you think college, professional orchestra, many, and I did this for a number of years. I don't do it so much anymore simply because I don't conduct the ensembles at the university. I still teach full time there, but I would call up an elementary band director in Fairfax County, just go through one middle school band. Let me call someone, and I'd call them up and I'd say, "Hi, can I please speak to the elementary band director at your school?" And the band director would come on, and I'd say, "Hi, I'm Tony Maiello from George Mason University. Is it okay if I come down and conduct your elementary band for about 10 minutes?" And the response would be, "Who is this?"
Yeah.
And I would say, "No, this is, I'm Tony Maiello. Can I come down? I just want to conduct your kids for about 10 minutes. And then I'd hear this. "Is this a joke?" And I'd say, "No, I want to come down." And they, "Mr. Maiello?" And then we'd get real formal, I'd say, "Yes, I am. Please call me Tony. Can I come down? Just want 10 minutes." "Sure, we'd love to have you, So I would go down, and I'd find out when the rehearsal was, and I'd go into the school, and their elementary band would be there. And what I loved to do is conduct the elementary band like it was the Philadelphia Orchestra, okay? And so I would start, and I'd conduct, and I'd look at the violins, and I'd go, I'd look at the clarinets, and the violins, and I'd give them a cue, and then I'd go like this more, and I'd get real dramatic, and I did it one time, and I've got to tell you, this is because kids don't often see that at an elementary level.
Right.
I mean, most of the time it's "Please stay with me," because they want to get through it,
Yeah.
So, and I did that. I leaned into the clarinets, and I went like this, and I went like this, and so, when there were two clarinet players, and one of them saw me, and I gave him that kind of cue, and he spit the clarinet out and started laughing. The other one went like this. No kidding. And I was like, yes, one will get you two.
Yeah, there you go.
And two will get you three, and you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, sure.
So it really changed, it changed my whole approach to teaching conducting, and being more animated on the podium, being more outgoing, it was a great conducting lesson, and we got it in the middle of a blizzard. I got the lesson, in the back seat of a Volkswagen with Jim, talking back and forth about conducting and what do you want from a conductor. And number one, he said inspiration, and I've never forgotten it.
Wow.
So that's the story, basically.
That's pretty profound.
Yeah. So I thought I'd share it with you.
Absolutely. Well, Professor Maiello, we are so fortunate to have you here.
My pleasure.
And if you ever call me up and ask to conduct my band, I'll have a baton ready for you.
I'd love to do that. If I'm nearby, and Director's Choice is nearby or whatever, I'm happy to help. Okay?
We'd have you anytime.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for being on Beyond the Clef. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.